Who am I? The girls them sugar. Who am I? The girls them sugar.
Welcome.
You thirsty Who Am I listeners.
They thirsty for the vibe, so it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel bad if I'm late on there or something.
We back.
We back though, man. How y'all
Back
feeling?
hydrated.
I'm glad to see everybody here. It's actually just me and you because that's who we see it.
Glad to have y'all here. You know, I got
Glad.
my Santa Claus going on
Got
right
the
now.
beard going.
Some ho-ho-hos
I
up
love
in this
it.
spot real quick. You know,
I love it, man. How you feeling today?
I'm blessed. You know, I'm not under any bad contracts, except for the one in the military. But you know,
that is a bad contract. That is a bad contract, but
I ain't get paid on my normal day because apparently the government they didn't sign the budget soon enough, so I ain't getting paid like I'm supposed to.
This is all true. These are all facts, but
like
there are worse contracts to be had. There are worse contracts to be had.
Where's Kanye when you need him, dog?
Kanye want to see all universal contracts. He didn't say nothing about the military. He want to see all. He does not want to see your realistic contract. He never asked for that. But yeah, so man, we appreciate y'all tuning into the Who My Pod. We got a couple different topics today. As usual, we're gonna start with some music. So we're gonna go ahead and start with some singles, and I'll go ahead and get started with one of them. And I got one. Actually, shout out to my sister. My sister actually sent me this. But I don't know exactly when it came out, but it came out in recent history. But it's called "You Ain't Worth It" with Melly and Black. Really cool song. At this point, this is my sound. Like, I don't know if that's weird or whatever you think. I remember it used to be kind of weird to listen to R&B as a man.
Facts.
Like, remember, I think we was
last year.
I think when we drove back from Omaha to California, and we was riding with the homies Guam and Vante, and I was like, man, if I'm driving 8 hours, I'm about to listen to R&B, and they're like, this is my shit, bro. Like, I used to really be making that shit in the whip. So maybe it's still weird to listen to R&B with men in the car. I don't know. I ain't really been riding around with a bunch of men in a long time, so I really can't say. But R&B, this is my style. The female artist and a hint of another male artist, that's probably my best suited sound that I want to listen to. So this is my sound. I really don't have a bunch to say about it. It sounds exactly like what you think it would with Melly and Black. So that's You Ain't Worth It. I would recommend that you go listen to it if you like those type of music. If you like the Jessie Reyez, if you like the Snow Allegras, if you like the Summer Walkers, if you like the Janae Akos, I would recommend you go listen to this track as well.
Nah. I wonder if Melly's still signed to Tory Lanez. Things that make you go,
I don't know, but you know what I'm going to look up while you talking about your topic? You know what I'm
So my single is a rap song, 3:30 in Houston by Benny the Butcher. This song was just so on point, so on time. I think it's the first single off of the upcoming Griselda movie that they got coming out. But basically in it, he's talking about the whole situation where he got shot down in Houston a couple weeks ago. And he said, like, he was recording this in his wheelchair. And then he begins the song talking about a story, like how karma comes back around. And then calling out to his home, like, you remember when we robbed these people for all their jewels and we robbed them for their money? And now him being in the situation to where he's like, he got shot and he got robbed. It's like, it's crazy to see how things come back around. So I think it was just a dope perspective for him to flip the situation and not just run from it, because oftentimes you see artists get into these situations and get into like robberies or shootouts or whatever, and then you never hear him address it. Like, he came right back, like, yo, this is a part of the game, and y'all not stopping anything that I'm doing. So I respect that sentiment. I respect Benny the Butcher. It's always going to be bars whenever he drop a song, so this is nothing different. But for him to address the situation that's going on right now, I thought that was right on point. So that's 3:30 in Houston by Benny the Butcher. Good song.
I like it. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna be able to find out, but I'm gonna see how long her contract was with Tory Lanez, because I'm actually interested.
Yeah. So I remember there was a big thing because he stole it because she was supposed to sign with Meek, and then Tory came out of nowhere with the announcement like, "Yo, welcome to One Umbrella Melly," And then
Yeah.
Meek was like, "Oh, y'all on some real corny shit."
I remember that, and that's when I looked up her contract, and those were the first stories that came up.
Yeah.
And so, but that was just in 2019. So I highly doubt that she was able to back out of her contract in that amount of time. So I'd imagine she's still under contract, but she hasn't really spoken on this topic at all. So I'd imagine.
And he got several. Like he got Mariah the Scientist as well, another R&B
Yeah.
artist that I love. He on there, so it's like
A lot of people that's not saying nothing.
yeah.
A lot of people not saying nothing. Sometimes that's what's best though.
I'm a bring when we talk about the album, somebody that has Tory Lanez on their album, they said a great statement on, and I was like, man, bravo.
Yeah.
I'll talk
Sometimes just shut the fuck up. But go ahead, you got it. All right, so we getting into, you still got singles, or are you going into albums?
That's the only single I got. I got a lot of
Okay.
albums though, so if you want to keep singles.
Yeah, let's go. I'll let you go for your albums because we got the one album that I have is the same as you have. So let's go ahead and get the other albums that you got on the way.
Okay, so for just to keep in line with talking about the person that had the statement about Tory Lanez, Jack Harlow actually dropped his debut album, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like this is a great like body of work. Like I've been following him for about a year now. I think last year he dropped the project Confetti, and that had Bryson Tiller on it. And I was like, yo, this sounds like pretty good. Because I know he was signed with, or he still is signed with Generation Now, which is DJ Drama, and I think DJ Don Cannon's label, who originally signed Uzi and brought Uzi to the forefront. And I remember just checking out all his artists, and I was like, yo, Jack Harlow kind of go. Like he got a good sound. And from there, his sound just started to elevate. And then when he dropped his follow-up earlier this year, and it had the song Was Popping on it, it was like, yo, Jack Harlow might be here to stay. Like he might be a new artist to look out for. And the only critique I had of those two projects, it was like they sounded good, but the substance wasn't really there for me. Like it just he didn't really connect on, like, when it comes to bars. Like he had a flow, he had a definite sound, but he wasn't really talking about much. And I think he addressed all of that with this project. Like he really started talking about his background. He started talking about his upbringing. He started talking about the people that he hung around, and just talking about life and kind of his life changing as he goes through different circumstances. So I think that this project was definitely a pleasant surprise. And like I mentioned earlier, he has Tory Lanez on the project, and he was asked on the What's Poppin' remix, he was asked, why didn't you remove Tory Lanez from the What's Poppin' remix? And he said that, well, I wasn't there for the situation. I'm not involved in a legal case. I don't know what happened. It's three sides to every story. You got Tory's side, you got Meg's side, and then you got the absolute truth. And I don't think we'll ever know any of those sides. So business is business. He came through and delivered on the song when he didn't have to. He helped me out, and he helped with the success of that song. So I'm going to keep him on that song until I know any different. So that's none of my business. All I know is that's a good song, and I'm going to keep that on my album. And it's like, I applaud him for saying that, because in a day and age where you have to be forced to pick a side, like he stood his ground and was like, nah, bro, this is where I'm at with it. And I think that on top of that, like that just showed me who his character is. And another thing I respect about him is like kind of like what I think about DaBaby is, in a day and age when everybody sounds the same and when you feel like you've heard it all, it's kind of hard to carve out a new lane. And I think DaBaby did that with his sound, and I think Jack Harlow is starting to do that with his sound. And this album, that's what they all say. I think that's a good addition to his catalog. So Jack Harlow, that's what they all say. Debut album. It's a good project.
What's up? How long is it?
It is 15 songs, 43 minutes. But two of the songs are What's Poppin' and the What's Poppin' remix, and then you got the Tyler Hero song. So
yeah,
it's a relatively quick listen, but great songs. Like he got Lil Baby on there, Big Sean on there, Chris Brown on there, Static Major and Bryson Tiller on there. Like it's a pretty well put together album.
Yeah.
So
I can appreciate that. Something I'll probably tune into in the future.
Yeah, it's a good one.
For sure. What else you got?
So Meek has been previewing his artist Vori for about like 4 months, bro. Like since the summertime. And he's been like, Vori dropped the album, free Vori. And he's been like putting out little snippets. I'm like, bro, if you don't like just release the project, like I'm about tired of you talk about this artist and talk about this project. I want to hear it. But Vori actually dropped last Wednesday, which is a little bit unconventional. But he dropped a self-titled project called Vori, and man, that project is Meek ain't let me down. Like
Good.
this project is in the lane of kind of like a Saint John or a Don Toliver, more auto tune, half rap, half kind of singing. But I think that it's kind of like Dirk too, but like he's really talking about like some real things, like talking about being with, you know what I mean, women, and you ain't dealing with drama on this side. I think that's my favorite song. But then talking about, hey, you with me and you ask for this lifestyle, but don't be surprised when you actually see the realities of what comes with this lifestyle. So don't forget where you came from. Don't forget that this is what you asked for, and don't be ungrateful when you get everything that comes with this lifestyle. And I think that his perspective on these songs and the production on these songs are great. He has good features on there. Again, he had Meek on there, a couple other people that you may not have heard of, but again, it's kind of in that lane of St. John, Little Dirk, and Don Toliver, where it's like heavy auto tune, more street driven lyrics. And I really enjoyed it. Something that I didn't expect. Well, I expected the project because Meek has been previewing it for the past 4 months, but I didn't think I was going to like it this much. But ever since it dropped on Wednesday, I've been heavy going back to this one. So Vori, if you want to look up, again, self-titled project, if you want to look that up, it's a dope listen.
That's what's up, man. Meek, he been doing good ever since he gave them 5 little kids for $20, ain't he? No. I'm actually on Meek's side with that mostly. He could have not. I would have not gave him anything and not recorded it, but he gave him $20. But a lot of people came to his aid and saying them Atlanta boys is hell, and they'll no matter what he would have gave them, they would have been that same way. So,
but everything don't have to be on the internet, bro.
I don't know why he recorded that though.
Everything don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know why he recorded that. I don't know why he recorded that. He know better than that. Let alone he probably had way more than that, and he probably had a whole stack somewhere in that vehicle.
Yeah, but what you gonna teach him with that though?
Nothing. But what you gonna teach him with 20?
You get what you work for. Hey, how much is water really worth? Like, I respect your hustle, whatever, but maybe you need to sell something that's actually worth something, bro. Like, yeah, you got these waters out here, but you know what I'm saying? What can I really do with a bunch of water?
I'm already overpaying for the water. I see what you said. Yeah.
So it's like, boom, you get that, you get some game, but hey, for real, y'all need to start thinking about this. Like, we could have given him with some game, you know? So,
yep.
But
she could at least be out here with the candy too or something. Damn, chips.
But even
just got the water.
Like, even that, it's like, you know what I'm saying? You can't be out here expecting $1 million. Like, you get what you pay for. Like, hey, $20, that's a come up.
Yeah.
You know what you're saying? So it's like,
if I sold a bottle of water for $20, I'd be extremely happy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he had that messaging, but Meek is all he don't know how to his heart be in the right place, but sometimes he don't just execute his execution skills. Not really.
Yeah. His heart been in the right place though. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But his heart been in the right place. He's been doing the right stuff for a while now.
Yeah.
Anything else before you get to our last time, or you got another one?
One more album that I have is it's called 1995 by 38 Special. And mentioned 38 Special a couple times on here. Again, loosely tied to the Griselda movement, not really a signee of Griselda, but more affiliated with them. Again, old school, kind of 90s type of hip hop style, the 1, 2, 3 punchline, like very formulaic. And he teamed up with, I believe, DJ Green Lantern. And forgive me if I quote wrong here, but it's just a bunch of 90s beats, and he's just going on them. And it's like kind of like reminiscent of old Wayne or like old Lloyd Banks or Fabulous mixtapes where they just going on the best beats. And he titled it 1995 because it's based on the best beats from the 90s, and he just like going on them. And it's a very quick listen. It's 10 songs, but it's only 16 minutes. So like he's literally just getting on them, laying a verse and then going to the next one, getting on, laying a verse and going to the next one. So it's a dope project. Nice, quick, easy listen, but good, high quality hip hop from 38 Special. So shout out to 38 Special. Again, that's 1995. Good hip hop out if you're looking for that.
I like that. All right. He dropped earlier this year too, didn't he?
Bro, 38 Special drops at least like twice a month.
Yeah.
If he's not rapping, he's producing, but 38 Special, he's consistent.
You working. You gotta like it. All right, well, let's get to what I could probably consider the biggest drop of this week. Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen by Kid Cudi. Uh, listen, um, this is 18 songs, 58 minutes, so a little bit longer than probably I would imagine it had been. But that's fine when the quality is so good. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think that I would like it. I really didn't. I sat. King could attest to it. I sat and watched a Kid Cudi concert and was not entertained. I just sincerely was not entertained. I didn't really enjoy it. He was a closing for Rolling Loud in Miami one time we went, and it didn't really tickle my fancy. It just didn't really tickle my fancy. So when I heard that this album was coming out, I knew it was a big deal. Because I knew Kid Cudi was a big deal. I even though I wasn't enjoying it, I seen thousands upon thousands of people that were enjoying it. That were legitimately raging in the crowd. So I knew that a lot of people enjoy Kid Cudi music. And I knew that when I was a lot younger, I actually enjoyed Kid Cudi music. It was just a little bit different than what I was used to and what I would actually listen to. He has a reputation of making music for people that are sad, depressed, doing drugs, whatever you can think of. Just something like that, a little kind of like a black emo vibe. It's kind of what Kid Cudi vibes off of. So that's not really me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not really what I'm about. And it's in that weird space where it's harmonic, it's kind of singing, but it's not R&B. But he don't got bars, so he's not like rapping. So it's in that weird space where it's like, well, I could just listen to some R&B if I want to hear that, or I could just go and listen to some rap if I was going to listen to this as well. So I always had that type of like vibe with Kid Cudi. So I can go either or side and find the better of this type of music rather than sitting in this in between space. What I listen to here is he's one of the best at that in between space. That's what I found out on this album. He's actually is one of the best on this in between space. And now, although I've seen why people liked him, I actually understand it a little bit more now. Actually, after listening to this album, and one that really like took me kind of over the edge is he made Pop Smoke and Skepta on the album sound really, really good. Like, like that. It is right in the in between space. It's right. It's number 8 on the track list. And so what I did with this album was like, you know, I don't want to hear no. I don't want to read the features. I don't want to be expecting no album. I just put my AirPods in. I said I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do during the day. And if it catches my ear, that's kind of how I know something is good or not. If it catches my ear while I'm just doing other stuff around the house, doing other stuff in my job, doing other stuff while I'm in the gym, and something that's catching my ear, that's how I typically know that, okay, this song might be pretty good. I might want to sit down and listen to it. It was almost every song. And then number 8 came along, and I'm like, is this Pop Smoke? Is this Skepta? I'm like, the mixture on these two was ridiculous. I don't understand how you got both of these on the song like this, and it sounds this way, especially with Kid Cudi. Those are three different type of vibes, 3 different type of music, 3 different types of sound. And he made those like kind of mesh very, very well. And that's when I really started really tuning in, and it really got really good. It really got really good. And to me, I still think that the best songs are in probably like the first 12 to 14 tracks. To me, are the best. At the end is where he starts getting it really deep into his emo bag. And that's when I really start vibing. I think it was a song called Ulysses Baby Boy. It was a flashback. I'm guessing that's some type of old song. Maybe there's some type of history to it. I'm not 100% sure. King could probably tell you better than I can. But I wasn't feeling that one. It literally took me out of, I was liking every song, and I listened to that one, and it took me out of the vibe or the streak that he was on. He was on a hot streak going into that track, and that track is number 11. And after that, I kind of felt like, well, you know, after that, it got really into his emo bag, and that's why I was like, okay, I can deal without this song. And that's why I say albums are a little bit too long. But when you're this big and you make this type of music for a certain amount of people, they appreciate the more songs that you give them because they're going to like them all. There's people that's going to like you no matter what you do. There's people that's going to hate you no matter what you do. You can't really think about the people that's going to hate you and try to get them on your side. You just at this point in Kid Cudi's career and other people's careers as far as artists go, you just got to appeal to your audience. And so just give them the music that they want. Just give them the music they want, no matter how the sound. So I'm not part of Kid Cudi's audience. So 18 songs to me might seem like a lot, but to somebody that's a Kid Cudi fan, they're like, man, I love all 18 of these. I just can't believe it. It's amazing. So what do you want to do? That's my question. My best advice: appeal to the audience. Appeal to the audience. So that's what he did on this album. I really appreciate it. Even still, there's some songs on the back end, like I said, that I probably can go without. I could probably not listen to, but there are some songs in that first 10 to 12 that I really enjoy. So shout out to Kid Cudi. I thought this was a really good one.
Yes. The Lord of the sad and lonely.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna be excited to talk about this one. I knew you was gonna be
sad and lonely is back.
I knew you was gonna be excited to talk about this one.
So Kevo bitching back in, what was that, 2 years ago or last year? That was 2 years ago.
It's got to have been 2 years ago, 2018. It might have been 2019. It was somewhere 2018, 2019. All this shit kind of blends in at this point.
Yeah, so I don't even remember. All I know is Rolling Loud. I think it was last year. Rolling Loud was in Miami.
I've been last year.
And we went, and was it day 3? I think it was, he was like
the last day. It was
last day, the last closer. It was Kid Cudi. And then Kevin there was like, all right, y'all ready to leave?
I was trying to do.
Y'all want to see Kid Cudi? Nah, bro. No, we don't.
No.
That was the person I came down there to see, bro. That was just for a little bit. We already paid for it.
It's just a weird vibe after you heard everybody that's been on that lineup all day. Yeah. Like I think Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi was like day 2, but there was some really like up tempo artists coming right before him. Yeah. And it might have been Lil Uzi, honestly, now that I think about it. It might have been Lil Uzi that came out right before him and he was a closer. So it was a complete contrast of what you've been hearing all day at that event. And so for him to come out, it just felt kind of weird for me at least. So, but that's why I was just like, I can deal without it.
Yeah, but I say Kid Cudi has like a cult fan base. Like it's kind of like Kanye's. It's kind of like Beyonce's Beehive. Like if you like Kid Cudi's music, then you like love Cudi, bro. And I am admit I'm part of that cult, bro. I am a deacon at the Kid Cudi cult. I'm talking about. I am full in, bro. So this album, this meant the world to me, bro. Because like when Kid Cudi first dropped his first album, Man on the Moon, it was narrated by Common, and Common was basically saying like he was narrating it as if it was in the future. It was like back in 2009. Everybody was talking about getting money. Everybody was talking about like buying jewelry, but then it was this young kid out of Cleveland, Ohio. Nobody expected it. And he started talking about things that nobody was talking about, such as vulnerabilities, insecurities, depression, things not really commonly addressed in hip hop. And this is what he went on to say. And then the music came out, and it was just so far left field. Like it didn't rock with it. Everybody didn't rock with it by all means, but it was such a new way of thinking. It was kind of like, it's okay to be weird. It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to feel things like depression. And for him to address that, and then Travis Scott said it best when he was in an interview in Hot 97. It's like he talks about all these sad things and everything that's going on in your mind that you don't really fully understand, but he has it on music that just sounds like dope. Like it's just like, yo, I can't help but like be hypnotized by this beat. But if you listen to the words, it's like he really speaking to some things that I got going on in my life. And if you listen to people like Kendrick, listen to people like Travis Scott, even Kanye, Jhené Aiko had an interview. All these people that say they were inspired, Schoolboy Q, that say they're inspired by Kid Cudi, they all say like he made it okay to be myself. Like he made it okay to address like when I'm feeling depressed. He made it okay to just break the mold. And for him to spawn off so many different careers, I think he went experimental after the first 2 Man on the Moon. So it was kind of like he a little too far left for a lot of the audience. But when he came back to his roots and kind of gained back into that sound that originally made him who he is, I think he tapped, like you said, he might be the best at it because he tapped into where that sound has gone. So he has certain songs, yeah, it may sound a little bit like Travis Scott, but we know as Cudi fans, Cudi started that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Travis Scott has elevated and made it to a sound, but like, don't forget, bro, this is Cuddy's lane. So when he makes that, it's like, oh damn, Cuddy, he can still survive in his era. And then, like I mentioned earlier in this year, when he dropped the songs with Travis Scott and he dropped the songs with Eminem, like, yeah, he may not be the best rapper alive. He's no Benny the Butcher or no somebody like that, but he can hold his own. So if he's on songs with other people like a Pop Smoke and Skepta, he's not going to mess up the song. Like, he knows even if he just has to get a little melodic and ride the beat, he knows what to do on the song. And sometimes that's a better asset than just going out and trying to over rap people. Like, Cuddy knows how to make the song. And I think with this project, he tapped into, like you said, what his core fan base wants. Sometimes it's a little bit of rapping. Sometimes it's a little bit of new age. Sometimes it's some sadness, bro. Like right now, I'm going through something right now. I'm in it. And Cuddy gave me, bro, I listen to exactly those songs that you don't like. I put those on and I'm like floating, dog. I be floating, dog. All you do is come on, just start humming, and I start levitating. Like, yes, bro, give me life, Cuddy. So it's like he gives you the type of music to address like your emo type of phase, but he also gives you lyrics to kind of help you get through it. And I think that's what he provides. This project, like you said, a real Cuddy fan likes all of it. I love all of it, bro. This project is exactly what I needed.
Good, man. I'm glad. I'm happy to hear it, man. Like, legitimately, I'm happy to hear Kid Cudi again, because it did feel like a while, even though he dropped some singles and everything like that. He's kind of like a Frank Ocean type. Like, it just feels like you don't hear from him a lot. And that's because he's not really in the media. I mean, he had a beef with Drake like a few years ago, a little bit, and Drake kind of sends some shots at him. But Cudi, he don't have the ability to really send shots back at Drake, not in music at least. So it felt like we didn't hear from him in a long time. So it does feel good to kind of hear him again. It kind of reminded me of some of those childhood times when like Day and Night came out. I just like, oh, this dude hard. Like, I don't really know. I had no idea his sound was that deep. I just thought that was like a song in like a moment, but that was like, that's his sound. Like, that's like, if you listen to Day and Night, that is like the pinnacle to me of Kid Cudi's sound. Not saying it's the best song he's ever made, but it's one of the most popular songs of that sound that he's made. Is that fair?
One of
it's
Pursuit of Happiness is more representative.
It's one of them. Like I said, it's one of them. It's like one of the most known to me of his song. Just like Frank Ocean is like Think About You. It's like, you know, those are that's his sound. That's like the pinnacle of his sound.
The thing is because what Day and Night did is that started a whole new genre. And then what like Pursuit of Happiness did, that started a whole new genre. So it's like, bro, like there would be no Trippie Redds, there would be no Uzis or whatever if it wasn't for stuff like Pursuit of Happiness. You know what I mean? I see that. But then again, it wouldn't be no Travis Scott's. It wouldn't be, you know, some newer age Kanye if it wasn't for like the Day and Nights. So it's like, it to me, who's seen the whole thing, is like, man, you got to gauge like, what do you like more of? What do you think is more influential?
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, no, I appreciate the whole album. I think it's really good, actually. I'll probably sit with it a little bit, see how much I actually tune into it a lot later, and I'll go and revisit those last few songs, see how I'm feeling, and see if I can actually vibe with them as well.
Yeah, it's those are definitely for like those are songs to get you through depression, but like more triumphant ones. Like those aren't to soak in. Like Pale Moonlight, that to me was like the pinnacle of this album. Whereas they're like, all right, bet going through something, but this is how we get through it and still keep like yourself.
Yeah.
So,
and people like Juice WRLD is a baby of Kid Cudi, like through and through. That is a child of Kid Cudi. Like 100%. That is what the new kids was listening to for the same reason why people were listening to Kid Cudi. That is a child of Kid Cudi. So I can understand. The influential aspect of it is out of this world. But yeah, some people like me, like I just wasn't really listening to that. Who I was listening to was Lil Wayne, and we're gonna actually we gonna get into some topics about Lil Wayne here. I'm gonna struggle to go ahead and introduce this, but I'm gonna go ahead and introduce this the best way I can. And the reason why I'm gonna struggle is because I'm gonna have to admit some things about Lil Wayne that I really don't want to really admit, and these are to me reasons why he's not on a Jay-Z level. Is because of the business side wasn't where Jay-Z's is. Now, if you want to talk about talent, then I'm gonna argue every day of the week. I'm gonna argue every day of the week because I feel like Lil Wayne had one of the best streaks in hip hop that almost anybody probably ever had in hip hop. To me, period. Like it's just that's you're not going to knock me off of that horse. I'm gonna ride that horse all the way into the sunset. I feel like he had the best streak of hip hop, just dominating remixes, remakes of songs, mixtapes, albums. It doesn't matter. He had about a decade-long span of just domination, and that's what I'm gonna ride on. That's what his claim to fame is. But the business side wasn't always where it needed to be, and so that's kind of what we're gonna talk about today. And starting off with some news that came out. So this is all stemming off of his ex-manager. His name is Ronald Sweeney. He's actually suing Lil Wayne for 20 mil, a little bit more than 20 mil for unpaid funds. Basically, on his side, he's basically saying that Lil Wayne didn't really pay him his money that he was owed. He stuck through him through all of the times where he didn't actually have it, where Baby was actually, not giving him his money. And if you all know, in 2018, Lil Wayne actually got freed for, if you will, like quotations freed, for actually getting out from under Baby's thumb and actually making sure he gets his. And that actual settlement came with 10 mil. So he got 10 mil for that, based off all those last years that he didn't really get paid. Ronald Sweeney is actually suing him for 20 mil based off of the fact that he was unpaid during that time frame. Lil Wayne actually, in recent history, because of this, it came out that he sold his masters for 100 mil back to Universal. And it's kind of hard to, it's weird to say that in the time right now where masters is like everything. Everybody's saying masters everything. King's probably going to have a good argument as to why he probably did it. To me, it feels a little bit underwhelming for 100 mil. King also introduced to me some information that, like Taylor Swift sold hers back for 300 mil, but it could also be up to 450 mil. So to me, I see a lot of those artists that selling their masters for that amount of money, and I see Lil Wayne selling his for 100 mil. It just feels a little bit underwhelming for who Lil Wayne is to me, but I have a little bit of a bias. So let's go ahead and start talking about that. We'll release some of our other kind of topics or side topics that we got about this. But what are your initial takes on Lil Wayne selling his masters for 100 mil back to Universal, and the 20 million that Ronald Sweeney, his former manager, is suing him for?
So I think the 100 mil selling back, I don't think that's a bad move. Because when you think about being a hip hop artist, when you think about what his content is about, it isn't going to be as profitable as some of the other mainstream, more pop artists when you talk about their masters and how they're going to be used to make money. So just to clarify, so Taylor Swift didn't actually sell her masters. The person who owned, like, they bought her record company and then they sold her masters for it because they actually owned it, which is why she was in this big legal battle. She's actually going to go and re-record everything so that anytime they want to use those old records, they can use her newly re-recorded records instead of the old ones so that they don't make money off of it. Like, it's this big, messy legal thing that she's going through all year. But her masters got sold for 300 million, but it has some incentives. If they make a certain amount of money back, it could be worth upwards of 450 million. Bob Dylan, he actually sold his publishing for about 300 million. And then the Imagine Dragons, the band that made Radioactive and Make Me a Believer, like a rock band, they sold their masters for 100 million. So basically, when you're selling your masters, you're just giving over that copy and giving that authority away to somebody else to license that music to commercials and other different avenues, have them playing in stores, have them playing in ads and backing in movies and everything like that. So you got to think about how they're actually going to use it. When Lil Wayne was fighting that fight with Cash Money, he was fighting because he wanted control of what he wanted to do with his music. When he went through the thing with Cash Money, when he looked through all the paperwork, he was supposed to be on copyrights, and then found out he wasn't on those copyrights. They were pushing his album back, so they weren't entitled to give him certain money that was drawn up in that contract. And when they settled, he actually got control of his masters and got control of his music so that he can do just this and sell it to another company. Because if we look at Wayne's business history, I don't think that Wayne with his masters is going to make 100 million off of these in the next 30, 40, or 50 years. And I think that's a consideration that he went into. Like, I don't think I could make this off of it, but I do want $100 million for my catalog. That is a huge amount of money. Like, yes, we think like Wayne is one of the best, and he arguably is one of the best, but to sell your catalog for $100 million is an insane amount of money. And it's right up there with artists, the pop artists, these mainstream artists that are, with all due respect, like, I love Wayne. I'm a Wayne stan in some regards, but let's just be honest. You can market Taylor Swift in way more markets than you can Lil Wayne. And that's just facts. It's just, look at the demographics of the country. You can market a Bob Dylan who has been making music since the 60s. He has tried and true decades worth of music that stick around. That's only worth 200 more million. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, he's only been making music since the 90s, and it's a very specific genre of music. Hey, for him to get 100 million off of that, I think is a good deal. And I think that in regards to this lawsuit, though, it's not looking good. I don't think that he'll have to pay out the whole 20 million, but he will have to reach a settlement with the manager, because the biggest thing that Wayne has going for them is that they don't have a written contract saying that he owes him, I think it was 10% for like management fees, 10% of all of the deals that they secure, and then 15% of like the legal things that they actually got going on. So I think Wayne's argument is why he stopped paying them is that, we don't really have a contract in writing. And I think once he got in the lawsuit, it said a prominent rapper, but I think they're trying to allude to once he got with Jay-Z. Jay-Z was advising him like, hey, do this, hey, do that. Like, you can save money by doing this. Hey, you don't have a contract, so legally you're not entitled to pay him. But how Celine Dion, she just lost a $13 million lawsuit earlier this year because she had an oral agreement with somebody and she actually made payments to that person. And once you start to make payments with somebody based on an oral agreement, the courts will recognize that as an official agreement, because your behavior after that spoken upon agreement was then carried out. So the court will recognize that as an official agreement. You don't have anything written down. If me and you come together and say, hey, for every podcast, I'm going to pay you $5 and I pay you $5 for a year. If I automatically stop, I still owe you that $5 per podcast for however our oral agreement was in, however that was supposed to span. So it's like Wayne had an oral agreement with the person that's suing him, and he made 2 payments. But his childhood friends like Mac Main and Cortez Bryant, they came back into the picture and was like, yo, you need to get rid of him. You need to stop paying him. And then they stopped the payments. But because Wayne already made those 2 payments, he already made that oral agreement a real contract. So technically, he's owed exactly what he's claiming based on the sales and based on the lawsuits that he was able to litigate and based on the career moves he was able to help Wayne make. So if Wayne has a lot on his plate right now, but I would imagine that a lot of that money he just sold his masters for is going to go into this case or this lawsuit and try to figure out how to settle. And hopefully it's not for the full 20 million.
Yeah. I think the reason why, and I'll get to the second half of what you're talking about, I think the reason why I say that it feels a little bit underwhelming is because Wayne was a part of a group. To me, you can group him in with those like Kanye and Jay-Z as far as his catalog, his abilities, the streak he went on. You can kind of group him in with those type of people. How much do you think Jay-Z's masters would sell for right now?
The only reason why I wouldn't put them on the same level is because most of Wayne's streak is not album music.
Yeah, it's mixtape.
So you really only talking about the Carters. You're talking about I'm Not a Human Being. You're talking about like the Rock album he did. the actual albums is not as strong as you think. Like,
No. Yeah.
other than that, it's not gonna be that much. So Jay-Z, all of that, you got the 99 Problems, you got like hits, like things that's going to survive. Like with Wayne, you got a Millie, you got
And a lot of remixes. I see what you mean.
so
Yeah.
it's not really that much. So 100 million, that's a fair tab in my opinion.
Might be good. Yeah, okay. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Because to me, and this is why I say I'm biased, right? Like I listened to Wayne so much in that time frame, like so much, like every single day for what felt like 10 years. So it's hard for me now to be like, dang, that's worth only 100 mil. I see people selling stuff for way more than that, way more than that. So 100 mil just seems a little bit like under what I value Lil Wayne at. But what you said, what was a good point, was Lil Wayne's business history doesn't seem like he'll make that type of money over the next, even if you give him about 30 years. He just don't have the people around him to do that. He doesn't know how to do that himself. It's no real reason to bet on that. If I was a betting man, I would bet the under for 30 years. If I had 30 years to say Lil Wayne with his catalog, with his masters, would he be able to make that money back? It's probably under. It's probably under, unfortunately. Even with all the other stuff that he's doing. So my question is, to me, is this a good move or a bad move based off, did he know that this situation was coming? So can you understand, did he understand, like the information that you just presented to me? Know that this was coming. Is that why he sold it? Or did he sell it thinking that he was that thing, whole idea was done? Because Mac Main and them and Gutta Gutta and all those people, they're invested in the game too. So they have some type of idea about what they're doing as well. So they came in and got into his ear and told him to stop messing with this dude. I did read that as well. That is something that was reported. So was that a bad move? Was that a good move? Because we know now in hindsight that just cutting off with this guy because one of your friends says it was a bad move. But selling his masters just in order to pay him this 20 mil, is that a good move or a bad move? Because it feels like he should have settled this first and then tried to sell his masters, to me.
Well, the only reason that the price tag is so high is because of this deal. Like, he stopped dealing with him back in 2018, and he didn't sell his masters here until 2020. So I think what and all this is alleged. This is just what I'm reading from the leaked the court documents. What's happening is, what he's alleging is that Wayne got around Jay-Z, and Jay-Z started giving him advice like, yo, you should probably do this. Hey, you should probably do this. Hey, you don't have an actual contract, so you should probably stop paying these people. You should probably stop doing this, and started giving him advice. And in coordination with, what's his name, Mr. Sweeney, in coordination with them, they were able to win that lawsuit with Cash Money and sign the Universal. But because of his efforts, Wayne didn't have the money at the time to afford counsel. So Sweeney actually got counsel for him and was like, yo, I'll get you the counsel and use my connections, but I want you to up my percentage that you owe me. You know what I'm saying? You already paid me 10. I want 17 now. Or I think it was, something to that effect. But he wanted a higher percentage based on what he was actually doing for him. And again, Wayne initially was paying him, but then stopped because they didn't have an actual contract. But once you agree upon something and then you start making those payments, the law is the law. Like, the standard is already set. Like, that's an agreement. So everything after that, because he was terminated, you're owed what you have as if you were to complete that contract that you're specified for. And him selling his masters, that fell below, or that fell under what he would have been responsible for it had he not been fired, because these are the type of deals that he was working out. So he would have been brokering that type of deal, and he would have been owed a commission, and he has the paperwork to prove all of that. So I'm not saying that it's a bad move. I just think that he was misinformed when he made that decision. And because he didn't have those legal documents and that paperwork, he felt as though he didn't owe.
I can see that. It makes sense. I just don't know what he moves from now, because like from everything that you said, from everything that I read, it doesn't look good. There's no way he's getting out of this without paying him something. So he has to settle again. And it feels like he settled for less than he was owed, when he was talking with Baby, when he did the settlement with them. So he already settled for less than he was owed with them, which was the original contract that was agreement, which is the original settlement that he should have been given to Mr. Sweeney. Instead of just having a conversation with him, actually getting an actual contract, cutting it off, then he goes on to sell his master still under verbal contract with Mr. Sweeney. And now he's owed a cut of both of those deals. It just feels like he continues to make these deals where he's undercutting his value and then getting, boned by somebody else in the process. It's one of the reasons to me why I see Jay-Z and I see Kanye, and even we can argue Kanye made bad deals as well, but ghosts don't do this type of stuff. Like in this age, like ghosts don't do this type of stuff with this. I'd be shocked to see Jay-Z going through a bad like lawsuit or a bad deal or bad things at this age, at this part of his life, because he's been so smart in his process from coming from a dude that was selling drugs on the streets to a billionaire that he is now. Like he's going to so many lengths. He's going to so much. He seems like such a knowledgeable guy. I don't get that same feeling from Lil Wayne. Like we talked about growth with Young Jeezy. Sometimes I don't feel like I get that same energy from Lil Wayne that I do from a Young Jeezy or somebody like that. He does feel like the Gucci Mans that we talked about, the guys that are still there and still in that time frame. I could be wrong. Like don't get me wrong.
You got to take into account Lil Wayne has been in the music industry since a kid.
A youngin', like
a legit kid. So when you come into the industry as a kid, trusting this person, calling him your dad, y'all got these other tattoos.
It's tough.
He's supposed to be handling your business. It wasn't until a couple years ago that Wayne figured out his business wasn't right. So it's like he's way behind the curve as opposed to a Jay-Z who came in the game late as his own boss, as opposed to Jeezy who came in the game as his own boss, as opposed to somebody else who came in as a boss, as a grown man, as coming at it a different way. Wayne came in as a kid. So he doesn't have that same type of knowledge or whatever. He doesn't have that same type of experience because all of that experience he should have gotten was handled by Baby, and we've seen Baby didn't do right by him.
Yeah. So it's hard to blame him. It really is. It's hard to blame him for what's going on for him. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we just got to continue to learn. As far as like artists, as far as content creators, as far as anything, we got to continue to learn from these type of dealings. Whether it be, we talked a lot about the Joe Budden, we talked a lot about the Call Her Daddy, we talked about Lil Wayne, we talked about the Kanye contract. All these things we talked about in past podcasts, and all I can do is say, like, continue to learn from this stuff. Like, we've seen so many artists, we've seen goddamn porn stars come out this time. We talked about a porn star contract on here that they said that was one of the most famous porn stars in America at one point that came out and said, yo, I ain't make shit. I ain't make nothing, bro. We have got to figure out how to flip that script, because we cannot continue to provide talents to companies so they can make money and not give you anything back on the turn. We seeing Dave Chappelle right now begging you to not watch the Dave Chappelle show. This is Dave Chappelle. This is arguably the best comedian on this earth to ever walk. He's begging you not to watch one of his shows because he was boned in his younger ages, and he's still getting boned to this day. Like, we can't continue to have this happening. It's sad to see people like Dave Chappelle having to do this. Because I love Dave. I got so much respect for Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle. I really do think that he's a GOAT. So why is he still getting fucked on a contract? Like, we got to figure out, we got to learn from these type of situations where we can't just look at him and be like, damn, look at him, he doing this, he doing that. Look at him, ha. We got to actually learn and say, like, hey, when somebody does approach us, like, let's just use us for example. When somebody eventually, hopefully, approaches us and says, hey, like, we want to buy your podcast, we want to do this, like, we got to know how to negotiate that. And if we don't know how, we need to get ahead and get somebody that does. Hopefully, it's not somebody like Baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully, it's not somebody like him. Hopefully, we had the money to get somebody that's actually here for us and is going to give us a good deal and give us a good contract. But we got to make sure that we take all this into consideration when we make these type of deals, because it feels good to get that deal at the time. It feels good to get a couple mil. When you're not a millionaire and somebody asks you to give you a couple mil, that's cool. 10, 20 years down the line, when you're a multi-millionaire and you're like, damn, they making 100 mil off of what I made in the last 20 years. I only made 10. I do the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one to do this shit. they this my shit. Like they're making money off of me. Like at some point you gotta realize I can't make that decision 20 years down the road. I have to make the decision now. It may be harder, but people like Nick back in that background, that King, if you look at King Kim right now, back in that background, you'll see somebody that did it that way. There's people that do it that way. There's people that take the long road to make it to the success. And we got to make sure that we take those stories and make it to our stories so it continues to be a norm. We got to normalize that. Those are things that we have to normalize instead of just getting a contract, buying jewelry, buying this, buying houses, and be like, oh, those are ones successful. We got to look at people like Nip back there on that poster and make sure that we know that those are the real ones. Those are real warriors. Those are real bosses. Those people that are actually getting it done. And even people that did do it the right way, you can look at people like Drake and say, I know his contract couldn't have been the best going through all this stuff, but he don't look like he's affected at all during this. How did he do that? How did he get to that point? He looked like he good. He like he independent on his own doing this stuff. He's still under contract. How did he do that? Let's look into that. But we can't watch all these artists because a lot of artists aren't doing the right by the business side of it. And people like Jay-Z are ones that do. We got to look at people that do and try to follow those type of strategies, if you will. So that's my thing. We can't continue to do this. I don't want to be 20 years down the road when I'm 55, 45 and see people just still doing bad like this in the hip hop game.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said. Like it's you made a great point. We have to transition from like making this the norm and start making people like Nipsey the norm, like people like Jay, people like Drake the norm of taking control of your business, taking control of who you are and what you own. But I don't see this as a loss for Wayne, to be honest. Like this is a highly publicized one, and I think that just because of the hot water he's been in, it's just like a lot more to the forefront. But I think the second thing I think that we're going to talk about if we get there, like I think his legal troubles are more troubling than this one as far as like his run-ins with the law. But I think this will get settled. I don't think he'll have to pay out the full 20, but yo, he sold his master for $100 million, bro. Like that's a win in my book. Yeah. But tomatoes, potatoes.
Let's talk about it real quick. Let's talk about his other issues that he got, because he got a lot going on right now, man. So you want to go ahead and introduce that?
Yeah. So last year, like 2 days before Christmas, I believe, he was taking a private jet, either to or from California, and an anonymous tip, right? Somebody was snitching, let him know that he had some stuff on a plane with him, and he got searched. And seized. The feds actually came up to him and held him, and he admitted, like, y'all have a gun in my plane. And they actually went in, they got a search warrant, and then they searched the plane, and they found a gold-plated pistol with 6 bullets loaded into it. They found cocaine, they found oxycodone, they found something else, I believe. But they only charged him with the gun charge because it's a federal crime after you've been a convicted felon to own a firearm or possess a firearm. So just a couple months ago, I believe it's in September, he was charged with the gun charge, a federal gun charge, but he pleaded guilty a couple of days ago. So I think that the maximum sentence that he can face is up to 10 years. I don't think that he'll serve much, if any, jail time. And I think if he is sentenced to jail time, I think this is what that Trump card was for. Like, hey, I support Trump, to kind of get like a last minute pardon, like, because it's a federal crime and the president can pardon federal crime. So I think that's more of his play. But I think that's the real issue here, because it's when we see in the day and age we're so dangerous to be a rapper. Like I really did. I didn't like when Jim Jones originally said it. I didn't like when like Fab said like, oh, being a rapper is so dangerous, blah, 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 because they said it a while back. But now you're starting to see like once you're an artist, you're a target. And if you're somebody like, we just opened the show talking about Benny the Butcher single and like, yo, he just got shot and robbed, you know, because he's an artist and they try to get him for his chain. Like we've seen 2 Chainz get into these situations. We've seen artists like Nip die. We've seen Pop Smoke die. We've seen XXXTentacion robbed and killed. So it's like these things are starting to happen on a more and more frequent basis. So you have to protect yourself, but if you're a convicted felon, you can't really protect yourself without hiring security, which is going to cost you money. And then it's like, it's a spiral of bad things that happen. Like we just saw recently, like Lil Baby had the viral photo dapping up Bun B, but he had his hand on that pistol in his hoodie. So it's like, that's the reality of being a artist nowadays. So, or hip hop artist nowadays. So I think that's where his time, resources, and that's his energy. That's where his focus at right now, because 10 years federal time, that's no joke if you're looking at that, especially if you're pleading guilty.
He already been to jail too. That's the crazy part.
Exactly. That's what started this whole thing.
He already served some time in jail. So to go back to that because of something like this seems like idiotic, but at the same time, it's wild that you would go that it seems wild to us that you would go to jail and then return over something like this. But at the same time, what else do you got to do? Right? We've heard artists like, let's talk about like Lil Boosie, a real street dude, right? Who actually went to jail as well. Like he still walk around with something on him. He still got security. He still got goons around him. He still got people like that. Gucci Man, he still keep people around him. You see him at the Young Jeezy joint. Like he still keep you around. And why is that? Like people think like, why is that? Why would you still do that? Why would you not move somewhere like this? You can move somewhere out of there and still get hit. Think about Pop Smoke. He wasn't in the hood when he got popped. Like he wasn't in the streets. He was at some nice house in LA. Like he was doing his thing. He was chilling. He was up on the upper echelon type of stuff. So it can happen anywhere. Like when you have that, when you're an artist and you wear the chains and you have the money and you have the women and you have this and that, those come with a target of people that want that as well. They want that money. They want that chain. They want those women. They want those cars. They want those houses. So the only way that they can do it if they don't have the talent to do exactly what you did is to come get it from you. It's not fair. It's not what we want, but life ain't fair. Life ain't what we want. Like life is not exactly how we wanted it right now. So this is what we got. This is what we got to deal with. So you're in some type of a paradox of, do I not carry and risk getting caught without it? Do I carry and get risk with caught with it by the cops? I don't know. It's hard to tell you really the answer to this. It's just confusing to me. Like I can't really understand it because I can drive to Walmart and not be seen by anybody. No one knows who I am. I can go to work and not have anybody. I'm gonna go to fly to Hawaii. I'm gonna be in the airports. I have no one's gonna know who the fuck I am. Like I don't have to worry about that type of things. Those are not day-to-day problems that I have. But if they were, what would I do? What do I do? Do I go to the airport by myself? Surely I wouldn't. If I was well known and through millions of people, if I sold millions of records and billions of people knew who I was, would I just go to the airport? Probably not. I'd probably want some protection. Do I have the money to pay for that for an extended period of time? Because that's not a short period of time. That's got to be a lifetime contract with a security agency. I got to have that all the time. I need to know that I'm secure all the time. Just have that peace of mind. So that's a hole in my pocket that I really don't want to have to pay for. Especially when I could just go buy a gun and just carry it on my own. But that comes with risk. And this is one of those type of situations that you have. And it's hard, man. Like this is a tougher situation for him right now. 10 years is ridiculous. Do I think he'll serve it? I don't know. But he's going to get some type of penalty. I have a hard time believing right now that Trump's going to pardon him. Trump not really worried about him. Trump got what he needed from Lil Wayne, and he's going to probably push him off to the side. He's not worried about what Lil Wayne got going on right now. He got a lot of things to be worried about right now. You can read his tweets. These are some direct, like he's some Hail Mary attempts from Donald Trump right now. So the last thing he's worried about is Lil Wayne. So I can't see that happening. I can't see him. Does he have good lawyers? I don't know. We just spent about 30, 45 minutes talking about how he didn't. Am I to believe that he just now got a good one? I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that. So what's going on right now in his life right now with those two things going on, man, it's not looking good for Lil Wayne right now in just any aspect of his life. And I feel really bad for him because for somebody, we got to, like I said last episode, when somebody entertains you for that long, when they become kind of a part of your life, and you feel like you know them, and you feel like like there's somebody that you look up to. And for me to be doing that, and then him seeing him doing this bad to me from the naked eye, just feels kind of crazy. But I don't have the answers. I really don't. I really don't know what to say about what's going to happen going forward, but I am going to be watching with a close eye. I'm wishing the best for him, and hopefully he gets out of this with the best scenario that he can possibly have.
Yeah, I think the reason I wanted to highlight this story is just because it's a lesson learned. Kind of like with the Kanye situations that he was going through when like he leaked his whole contracts. It's like, yeah, we don't have any control over how that's going to play out. We don't know how it's going to play out. We may not know ever how it's going to end because when they get these settlements and when they get these deals done, we don't get all the details. But we could take bits and pieces and learn from it. Like just through doing research in here, I was able to read through the Cash Money lawsuit. I was able to read through this lawsuit with Mr. Sweeney. I was able to read through some old contracts. I was able to see about how these things are worded and how they played out. So I was able to learn from it. Granted, I may not ever find myself in this situation as an artist, but many artists can look to this situation and learn from it so that they avoid it. If you have a convicted felon and you see how this is playing out, again, in the court of law, once a precedent has been set, that's the standard. So again, like I was saying, it's not looking good for him in the lawsuit is because Celine Dion just lost her $13 million lawsuit. And that was a ruling based on the 2000 lawsuit of the same degree from a TV show called Charmed, when one of the actresses had an oral agreement with quote unquote manager who they later fired, but was still owed some money because they had that oral agreement. So it's like all of these situations are learning experiences to kind of get up on to see, okay, if I ever find myself in a situation, this is what I can expect. And then you can move accordingly, because like Kevin was saying earlier, it's getting a little bit too late in the game for us to keep repeating these mistakes. It's too much information out here. It's too much. We have too much access to information for us to still make these same mistakes. So we have to start adjusting how we move more intelligently, and use the lessons of the past to kind of take us to that next level. Hopefully you'll be selling your masters for 100 million one day. Your little skippity bop boo bop SoundCloud.
You know what I'm saying? do do do. Poopity scoop. Poopity scoop. Hell no, man. Yeah, hopefully though, man. Hopefully we'll see. But yeah, it is a learning experience, man. I learn more every day, just kind of like every Saturday when we podcast. I learn just a bunch, just trying to. I should say Fridays when I actually do my research, but Friday through Saturday when I actually do the research and I come here and I talk about, I just learn a lot based off of the topics that we talk about, because it's something that I would look at like if I wasn't podcasting, I would just look at it and see like at face value. But when you actually look into these situations, it's like, damn, the legal system is complex. Like these contracts are complex. Like content creators in the industries that they actually choose to release that content, it's a complex like relationship. And you got to actually know what you're doing before you get in there. You can't just go in there. It's a lot of talented people. Go to TikTok, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to Twitter. You'll see a lot of talented people releasing a lot of things. They can end up being victims real fast. Like there are really people out here just surfing on the internet, surfing on there, just trying to find people that's doing this type of stuff and doing it at a high level so they can get them into a contract so they can make money off of them. Like that's capitalism, but it works very well. Like just don't be a victim to it. Like learn from the lessons that we've seen from people before us, and hopefully we'll see a better turn of this going forward. Now, those I do want to say, because I know in the past we've kind of defended some of these like record labels and the Spotify's, if you will, the Apple Music's, because a lot of artists are just like, yeah, I don't like this contract anymore and I want to get out of it. That's not how that goes. These people are needed, right? Because they are going to take a risk on you that you succeed. They're going to put their money in first. They're going to upfront you that money so you can build something. So they are needed in certain situations, and a lot of situations for a lot of different artists, a lot of different content creators. So I do appreciate them. They do have a place in this type of world, this type of area that we kind of live in right now. but you just don't want to get fucked. Like, I don't know how else to say. You just want to do the best you can and not get fucked, because they're gonna take the risk up front for you, and you're gonna get that money up front, and you're gonna feel good about it. Just don't 20 years down the road be like, dang, I'm still somehow tied to that contract I made 20 years ago. Like, figure out a way that doesn't happen, and then I'm sure you should be a little bit better off. But I'm no pro, I'm no lawyer, I don't know. Who am I?
That's this podcast, right? That's recommendations, bro.
Do the best I can, bro. All right, but I do want to get into my positivity shout out real quick. Let me see. Let me pull the thing up real quick. Your Face ID ever not work? And you be like, the goddamn Face ID.
You got Face ID, bro? That's the aliens trying to steal your DNA.
Ah, you right. See, I didn't even think about that. See?
You're going to pull up one day, and it's going to be you standing at your door, and they're going to go hit you with that Jake Paul. That Nate Robinson one.
Chill out. All right, man. Said we was going to talk about a little bit later, so I want to cover it a little bit briefly right now. My positive shout out goes to Meek Mill, actually. Him and Michael Rubin, Michael Rubin is a co-owner of the 76ers. They started a $2 million scholarship fund for 1,000 Philly students that goes into effect immediately. That's a lot of money to just be given in, like, to your community immediately. Like, sometimes we hear about these type of stories and we hear like, oh, it goes into effect in like 2025. And like, damn, like that's a lot. That's a long time. Like, they actually worked out this deal and worked out some money to go into immediately. And Meek Mill has been on the internet, like on social media in the recent history in the last like few months, like legitimately going at artist's neck for not giving up, or not even necessarily going at their neck, but just making sure he's always on somebody's tail about like, hey, Xbox should do this, or PlayStation should do this to get back to the media, or this person should do this to get back to the media, and I'll match that offer. I'll do this. Like, there's a lot going on. Like, we see Meek Mill in the funny story we talked about earlier with the actual water, but his heart's been in the right place for a long time. Like, for a few years now, ever since he got out of jail the last time, his heart's been in the right area. His mind might not be able to do the things that he's supposed to be doing, but he has people, he knows people, and he has the right people around him to actually make sure these things happen. So this one right here is a big deal right now, especially in the year that we live in with the code and everything, because this actual money is not only going to tuition for low-income areas to go to like private schools and things of that nature, but also gives them like money for laptops, tablets, and Wi-Fi connection. That to me is like, wow. Like, just in general, like, I don't know how it's going to work, but $2 million you can definitely afford to pay somebody a Wi-Fi bill for a couple of years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. The laptop, that makes sense. The tablet, that makes sense. And they're going to need that right now to go to a private school. You're going to need that to go to, it's more than just the tuition. You're going to need that just to get into the building, but you're also going to need this extra stuff to actually go and make sure you follow through. So a lot of times we see people just like go to give $2 million or $100,000, and you're like, I don't really know where it's going to. I don't really understand where the concept is. You can easily go look it up right now and find out where that money's going to and how it's going to be laid out for a plan and how fast it's actually getting to those people that need it. That's actually a real big deal. We in the time right now where we've been arguing for about 4 or 5 months over a second stimulus package with our politicians right now. This shit don't happen fast like that. So for our artists to actually be paying it back in full in like no time is a real big deal to me. And I feel like I need to go ahead and mention that to y'all so y'all can actually, take that information, because I see the comments, I see all the fuckery. I see Meek Mill ain't a saint by any means, but he has his heart in the right place. And I feel like at some point we got to appreciate that, because he ain't got to do shit. That's my biggest thing about like, oh, well, why he get the $20? Like he ain't had to do shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta at some point realize that like our artists, our athletes, our actors, they ain't gotta do shit. So when they do something, at some point we gotta just appreciate it. And that's what I'm doing right now. Shout out Meek Mill, shout out Rubin, $2 million again to 1,000 low-income students. And that's in like pre-K all the way up to high school. That's not college students, by the way. But shout out to them, because that's a big deal to actually make that happen in such a short amount of time. $2 million seem like at this point might be a little bit of money, but that's a lot of money to people that don't have it. So shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is they did the All In challenge earlier
Mhm.
to raise millions of dollars to actually go to feed people that were going
Mhm.
hungry during the pandemic. They partnered up for the Reform
Mhm.
project to go out and pay the bills of people who are just stuck in jail because they can't afford to pay bail, and look at reducing sentences of people. So they've been at the forefront since, like you said, Meat came home. So this is just another addition to what they've already been doing. So shout out
Yeah,
to
they've been
them for
getting it
that.
done.
Yeah. So my positivity shout out goes to a comedian by the name of Andrew Schultz. He actually is the co-host of the Brilliant Idiots podcast with Charlamagne the God. And I just want to give him a shout out because kind of like what we're talking about today as far as contracts and doing business, a lot of these bad contracts and a lot of these bad situations, they come up because people have no leverage, or people are just looking at these companies to save them or give them a check. And the best way, like you said earlier, like why I look up to Nipsey, why I'm rocking his brand right now, and I try my best to support everything he stood for, is because he had this concept of taking the stairs and doing it your way and being your own boss. And sometimes that takes a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, once you reach your destination, you'll have equity in whatever you plan to do because you helped build that. And when Nip finally released his debut album, he was a partner and he wasn't signed to that actual label. And what Andrew Schultz did at the beginning of the pandemic, he kind of said, like, as a creative, if you're forced to quarantine, if you're being forced to lock down, do something, create whatever it is your masterpiece is. And he started doing these like weekend wrap ups of like, this was going on today. And he would like make you turn your phone, and he would just go on like a comedic, what's the call? Like a monologue, just a funny monologue of everything that's going on. And he just kept doing that. I think he did like 17 episodes of that. And now, and before then, he was just an up and coming comedian. He couldn't get a special at any network. He kept getting denied. But now he's doing a 4-part series with Netflix. I think it's coming out on the 17th of December. And he's actually partnering up with Netflix to do that monologue type of style to wrap up the year of 2020. And it just shows the consistency of being your own boss and creating and believing in yourself and investing in yourself before you go to a major company. Because if you build it and you create an audience, you create something that's successful, those big companies that you want to sign to, those big companies that you want to partner with, they're going to come to you. And you won't be forced to sign those Lil Wayne type of contracts or those Kanye type of contracts where you give away all your intellectual property. You'll actually have some equity in the company. And like he's describing his process, he turns in what he wants to turn in. He turns it in when he wants to turn it in. He has creative control of what he's going to do because he's already shown the proof of concept that what he does works. I think that this is an example that we can follow if we want to create something, if you want to do something. It might take a little bit longer. It might take some difficult circumstances, but like Nip said, take the stairs, do the groundwork, build up that equity in whatever it is you're creating, and then the results will follow. So shout out to Andrew Schultz, his Netflix special, doing it his way, building up that equity, and that's a good demonstration right there.
Bro, he funny as hell.
Hilarious.
He funny as hell. He got he always posts like clips of his stand-ups on YouTube, and a lot of them are like just like I don't really get his I don't really get to see his like schedule stuff that he put like he write down, but he gets like crowd, like he only really posts like crowd stuff where he just like react to the crowd. He asks the crowd a question, he just react to it. And it's always fucking funny, bro. Like it's always like he's really like he one of the people that will roast you in the cafeteria if you was in high school.
Yeah.
Like he really one of those who that would just like roast the hell out of you. Just like you can't seem to beat him because you keep saying something to him. He just respond with something better every time. Like that's who he is, and it's really good.
Play with him, dog. He gonna eat your whole day, dog.
Bro, he would just light your ass up. So I would love to see him in person. I can't wait till I actually get a chance to actually see him in person.
That, just a quick thing on that. One, he pioneered like putting out your YouTube specials on or like YouTube content on or putting out your comedy stuff on YouTube. Like he literally went on like a whole run like Joe Rogan and his whole circle was like, bro, put it on YouTube, take control, because he couldn't get a special. And then two, he put out like everybody pulls out like an hour special, like Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
he put out an hour special on YouTube with just crowd work. With just playing off the crowd. He did a whole hour of just that. Like I don't have nothing written.
He's amazing.
Just gonna talk shit to y'all.
He's amazing, dog. It's really, and it's funny, dog. It's funny. It'd be like real good. It'd be good shit, dog.
Gotta
It's
respect.
good shit. Like legitimately, like make you laugh. You watch it, dog. Like not some of the shit you be like, oh, it's kind of funny. Like shit, you be like, like you actually be laughing.
I would have never thought of that like that.
Yeah, like that's it. That shit. You know, he's solid. He's solid in what he do. He's good at his craft, and I appreciate him for that. And his podcast, I like his podcast too. I like his takes. So yeah. But I don't have some of the funniest things I've seen this week. I don't know how to say that this week, but what I do have is some news. I don't know if you've seen it, bro. You seen the last 2 hours that Keisha Cole caught COVID?
Oh, they canceled the verses?
Dog, they trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, cuz.
Dog, yeah, like a couple within the last recent hours, they trying to figure out what they about to do.
See, that's the same person that got Dez Bryant pulled off the warm-ups, dog. They don't want to see her win.
Not Keisha Cole, excuse me. Ashanti caught it.
Oh, damn.
Ashanti caught it, yeah. It's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. She said she good. Though. She said she asymptomatic, but she caught it. So
Who you think will win that?
I'm so biased, bro. Cause I love me some Ashanti.
I got Keisha Cole smacking Ashanti.
You think so?
It's not even close, though. Keisha Cole got better. Like she has a better catalog. Like Ashanti got like hits. Like a lot of it is like she on hooks.
Ashanti wrote for a lot of people too.
Yeah, Keisha Cole, bro. She got them. I don't know, bro.
This is one that I had to see play out because I need to see when some songs are played.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. It's gonna be a fight.
I need to see. Yeah, I have to see when some songs are played. I just love me some Ashanti, bro.
Oh, I love her. I love her. Like, I think I might love her. Like Gucci man type of. I love her like that, but
Ashanti.
When it comes to the music,
God,
Keisha Cole had one of the fire runs, bro. Remember she had she put the whole family on, guys.
Yeah. She was still, and she was having her run when Beyonce was still building too. So when Beyonce was still in her run, Keisha Cole was going hard too.
BET got the whole reality show.
Yeah,
the albums coming. I'm like Keisha Cole held it down, bro.
I gotta hear that one. I gotta hear that one.
Yeah,
I gotta hear that one.
Cause I thought Jadakiss and Fab. I was like, "Ooh, this gonna be a go." And then Fab was playing some boo boo. So
yeah,
like, this is gonna be those ones like you said. Like you
gotta see when they this is a battle. Yeah, you gotta see which ones come to that win. I'm just sad because it's probably gonna be virtual and that comes with issues and it's not gonna be as clean as the other ones. And
then we're gonna have to see Soulja Boy versus Bow Wow. You gonna come through?
You. So I took my chain off, hit him with
Shut up, dog.
Fucking weirdo, dog. People gonna stop disrespecting Bow Wow though. I seen I think it was Wendy Williams like name a hit that Bow Wow had ever, and I was like,
Bow Wow.
I can name a few.
I got a solid 20, dog.
I could name a few. We can start a list, dog. Like we gonna stop fucking around with Bow Wow, dog. Like, bruh,
that's
name a husband that didn't cheat on you. I can't start.
I remember when Woody Williams passed out. Like her batteries ran out. She like the Xbox controller, like your batteries.
She literally looked like a battery like ran out because like your shit just be going. Your shit just light up and go dead, bro. Oh. Yeah, bro. I'm not fucking with Willie Williams coming at Bow Wow neck like that. I'm like, name some Bow Wow. Name a hit he ever had ever. And I was like, have you never heard a story like mine? Shit, still rocking. Like.
Somebody said Wendy Williams built like an ostrich, dog.
You said that.
Right? Like where I read that at. You ain't had to say. We both knew us.
Hold on. Oh shit. Oh fuck. All right. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here now. You got anything else?
Well, somebody said they
fuck.
appreciate y'all for joining this podcast. They appreciate y'all for tuning in. I don't know who they is, but they thank y'all for tuning in each and every week.
We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. It's the Who Am I Pod. Oh.
Who am I? The girls them sugar.